Good morning, Inspired Nation. I'm so excited. Happy New Year, and hope everyone's having a fantastic Tuesday. We've got a really neat challenge I've got out here today. I labeled this particular TTT session really going out there saying it's more about your who and your how, and how that is more important than your what. So we're going to talk about that. But before we do me a favor. If you're jumping on, go hit the invite button. Invite others, your other people that you're connected to in this group, to our session this morning. And of course, we want to see everyone. So jump on and tell me good morning and let me know celebrations, what's happening. If you're like me, this week it's really my first week, kind of feel like I'm really back and working. So, I want to kind of hear, what have you done to get back in the groove after all the time off? And so what has that been? So go out there and let's say hello to each other. If you're jumping on, even if you're watching this on replay, sorry, I'm trying to hit the invite button over here so that we have more people joining us in here this morning. But it's okay if you're watching this back on replay or you're catching this out on our YouTube channel. We still want to hear from you. We still want to hear, your celebrations. I love it even when people go back and share their celebrations, even a week later when I get the information out there. I'm going to pull it up so that I can see everyone that's jumping on, seeing the comments, so that we make sure we've got everybody going. There we go. All right, so today's what we're going to talk about is really about how important your word choice. And I know I bring this up quite a bit, but when it comes to helping people build a business growth strategy based on, increasing their referrals, that is word of mouth marketing. So when it comes to word of mouth marketing, some of the most important things that you need to think about before you get out there and you begin to network, or you begin to even write your social media post or connect with others, is to understand that you need to sit down and think about the words you're going to be using, the words you're going to be sharing when someone asks you how they can help you, or you're setting up strategy sessions and you're sharing with one another, this is a great referral for me. If you're out there networking, it keeps you in referral mode versus sales mode. And so there's a lot of benefits to understanding the different word choices. And so I am trying to bring up, there we go. We are switching around with technology. And so one of the things that I want to do is kind of stretch you guys a little bit into thinking and learning how to connect, especially here on Inspired Nation. It is something that I desire is that people begin to look at this as a resource when you come here. We did change it from being a closed group and a hidden group or secret group to an open group. So we want this group to expand, but at the same time, it's not just about having numbers in a group. It's about having quality in the relationships or in the resource. And that's really what this particular group is meant to be. Not necessarily a resource, how to get to somebody or things like that. There's a lot of Facebook groups out there, but really a resource of, to connect with one another, to generate potential prospects for one another, to generate referrals from one another, to create industry collaborations in the group, strategic power partners, strategic alliances. There's opportunity here rather than, an ISO, in search of. Okay, so that's not really the type of group we're trying to create here with Inspired Nation. Trust me, I'm in some incredible groups where if I'm in search of a service, I can go out there and do that. Instead, I'm in here looking to develop potential relationships with other professionals who are wanting to grow their business when it comes to creating that support system, referral opportunities. And that's really what our goal here is in Inspired Nation. So with all of that we need to make sure that when we reach out to each other and when we're putting comments out here on Inspired Nation, or you're going out there, I always tell everybody, come in here, learn what to do so that you can take it out there and actually practice what we're training here in the group. And one of the things I talk about is who and how versus what. So let me really kind of touch on what the difference is between that. When I refer to what, I'm referring to what it is that you do, okay? Which is really typically, you know, if you were going out there and I was to put in the comments, tell us what you do, all of you would immediately begin to tell us about your product, your service. You would talk about how awesome it is, and you'd love, you know, call me. You would begin to use terminology that would really fall more into sales. What I want you to do is to begin to change your words, begin to change whether it's in a post or verbal, change it more to your who and your how. So your who is really about, you know, the analogy I always say, it's not what you do, it's about who it is you're providing that service for. You know, who it is that is going to buy your product, who it is that's sitting across the desk from you, who it is that's picking up that phone and calling you. And when we're describing that who, that's that target market. But I try to be very careful when I just say target market out there, because a lot of people just, it's that shotgun approach. You know, if someone breathes, they need my services. If someone, you know, drives a car, they need my services. If someone does this, they need my services. And so that who becomes so broad that it actually, let's think of it as a TV. It begins to pixelate, right? You can't see a really good picture of that who. I want you to get to where when you use your words, it immediately brings a crystal clear image in the other person who's hearing your words. It brings a crystal clear image in their mind of someone that they know that has experienced that particular challenge. Like they actually can picture in their mind someone that they know, and that's the whole thing. You want people to, you know, to hear that and go, you know, I know someone, even if they've already, you know, it's beyond the point, they've already used someone else. You still want people to get in that practice of bringing up images in their head of your target market, so that in the future, when they see someone or hear someone going through that same challenge or is a mirror image of that reflection that they had in their head, then they think of you. Okay, and that's the whole point. You're training people to associate your words. You know, when you hear this, when you see this, when you know of this, think of me. And that's the first part, okay? So when you begin to think of the who. So if you guys are willing to do this, if you know, I've always done this more in a live audience, you know, in a workshop, or I've done this in a webinar. So, you know, there may be a delay effect with us doing it here on the live Facebook page, but it's okay. Even in the replay, I would like you guys to go answer this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say some different who's, and I want you to think about if someone pops in your mind. Now, I don't want you to go out there and type someone's name, because some of the who's I'm going to say, you know, we don't need to be tagging people. But what I want you to do is, if I say something and it actually reflects, you know, an actual person in your mind, I want you to go hit the heart button, okay? I want you to go hit the love button for me. So that way we can see, even back in the replay, we can see how this is triggering someone that you know. Now, here's the thing. It has to be a crystal clear image of a person that you know when I say this, okay? So the first thing I want to say, if you know someone who has gotten a brand new car for Christmas, hit the heart button. If you know someone who has recently gotten engaged, hit the heart button. If you know someone who has a back problem, like they suffer from back pain, hit the heart button. If you know someone who just launched their brand new business, like their brand new business was going to launch on January 1st, hit the heart button. If you know someone who has recently had a loss in their family, hit the heart button. You'll see now why I didn't say hit the like button, right? Because we want to show the love, not hit like on some of these. If you know someone who put out that they needed a new logo, hit the heart button. If you know someone who just had a brand new baby, if you know someone who likes to travel, if you know someone who loves to work in their yard, like they're the green thumb, their flowers are always pretty. If you know someone who has a pool in their backyard. If you know someone who always sits at the back of the room because they never like either their back, to a door, or they're suffering from, being able to sit down, back pain, things like that. If you know someone who their pets are all over Facebook, like their pets are their kids, hit the heart button. If you know someone who has teenagers, if you know someone who has kids going off to college, getting ready to graduate and will be going off to college this year, hit the heart button. If you know someone who has a brick and mortar business, like you know a business owner and you have a relationship with someone who owns a brick and mortar business. If you know someone who works out of their vehicle, like they have a business where they work out of their vehicle, and like if you were to look in their front seat, it looks like their entire mobile office. If you know someone who probably needs some help, cutting their yard or maintenance in their yard. If you know someone who is homebound, they have a hard time getting around. If you know someone who recently just got promoted in their job. If you know someone who's just had a transition with their job. If you know someone who, let's see, I'm trying to hit all different kind of industries here. If you know someone who's just bought a brand new home. If you know someone who has just transitioned into our community. If you know someone who, there's so many who's, right? I just went completely blank. If you know someone who loves to read or is always recommending self-help books or just books out there. If you know someone who just, you saw on their Facebook that they just got back from their, maybe their company conference. If you know someone who just celebrated a huge milestone for their business. If you know someone who has staff members. If you know someone who's an outdoors person, maybe a hunter, fisherman. If you know an athlete, someone who is very much maybe a coach, or they're, someone who is actually, someone on a team. If you know someone that plays an instrument, if you know someone who has a child that is struggling in school, if you know someone who has, is having maybe some issues with their marriage, if you know someone who's gone through a divorce, So we could keep on and on and on. And I am sure we've seen some hearts going on there, and I know we'll continue to see hearts as people watch this on replay. What's happened is, as I began to describe different people, and we could keep going down, someone, not just what I call surface level who information, but, continue to go down. Like I could say a great who for me is a business professional who is usually an independent contractor, has to reach and, build their own book of business. But for me, if I kept going, and my who would be someone who also has a positive forward attitude, someone who is willing to invest into their success story. And so I begin to really describe that who. And what I want is for people to be able to go and see that who, whether or not they see it today or know it. But I want, my goal is, and this is the beauty of referral marketing, is that some of you will be out there in the community today having conversations with your clients, your friends, your family, your networks, your colleagues, and you have the potential to see my who, to hear my who when I'm not even there. And if we have an established referral relationship with one another, where we have credibility with one another, where we have established, how you can bring me up, and that brings us to the next part of how you can properly recommend my product or services when given a chance to, that you're willing, wanting, and able. And that's one of the things that I really train is here's my who, here's how you can properly recommend me, and that process of being able to do that. Here's another way for me to ask for you to learn how to describe your who. Word it this way, and you can actually put this down in the comments. This will help us in Inspired Nation to actually learn how to help you grow your business. Think of it this way. What is the challenge that your product or service, and I don't want you going into your product or service, how it works and all that. What I want you to do is to stay in the who zone, okay? What is the challenge that someone has that causes them to need you? That's what I want you to put in the comment. When someone has this challenge, think of me. I can help. And we want to leave it at that. We don't want to keep going into everything else. So when someone has this challenge, I want you to think of me, because I can help. Right? And post as many challenges in the comments below that you can think of, that when someone has this challenge. So for here at Inspired, we can say, when someone wants branding, a personal branding image, and they want a consistent branding, think of us. When someone is an introvert and they're terrified of going to networking events, think of us. When someone is about 2 years into their real estate career, I want you to think of us. When someone says they hate cold calling, okay, when they have the challenge of cold calling, think of us. When someone invests into courses or online trainings, and they're not satisfied with the trainings that they have, I want you to think of us. And what it is by phrasing it, I want you to hear this challenge is that sometimes challenges have a way of showing up just by life events. They have a challenge of showing up verbally when people share things. Sometimes we'll see challenges when people post out on Facebook. It's all kind of things you can see out on Facebook that can generate for people to think of you. Then maybe another way, when you hear, so of course I want you to put this in the comments. When you hear this, think of me. When you see this, think of me. When you encounter this, think of me. And what we want to do is we want to hear that. Like when you hear someone say, I hate cold calling, think of me. When you hear someone say, gosh, last year's growth in my business wasn't where I wanted it to be, I really need 2020 to be amazing, think of us. When you see someone sitting down at a networking event and they're not mixing and mingling, think of me, right? And so what I want to do is to use my words to paint a picture of someone. And we want you to do that for us too. We want to hear the challenges that you're a solution for. We want to hear what someone would say that would trigger a need for them to call you. We want to begin to recognize. So tell us what we can look for and what we can see. And when we see this, we think of you. So I want you guys to do this exercise and describe your who as much as possible for us. Then we want to learn more about your how. And the how is when I hear someone that has this challenge, when I see someone that you've described, how do I recommend you? So it's not enough for you to just teach us your who. It is definitely one of the most important steps is to teach us your who. But I don't want to sit here in Inspired Nation and learn all about your who, obviously, and then lack the ability to actually properly recommend you. Now, some of you are going to post on here, and I already know you. We have credibility. You've been a client of mine. You've been a strategic power partners of mine, a strategic alliance. Like, I know you. The credibility is already there. So when you educate me on your who and your how, the willingness and the wantingness and the ability to go out there and make those recommendations is high. Some of you are going to share your who and your how, and you're new to Inspired Nation, so I don't know you. So we're on the lower level of getting to know each other, and this is what I call the wanting, willing, and able phases. We're the wanting is there. You've made a post. I'm out here asking you guys to educate us. We're going to be educating you. The wanting is there. The willing is, are you willing to set up a strategy session? Are you willing to jump on here every single Tuesday and educate us? Are you willing to go out there and communicate in the post when we put challenges out there for you to tell us more about it? Are you willing to jump on a group strategy session with me and the Inspire team and say, hey, I really want to educate you guys on our who and how and to recommend? So that our credibility increases, our confidence increases, that when I make a recommendation on your behalf, I never have to apologize for it. Think about that. How many times have you made a referral too soon? You've made a recommendation for someone and you didn't really even know that person to begin with. And I believe you have to be very careful, because it wasn't the credibility of the person you're referring that had the ding. I mean, granted that it was your credibility that took the ding too. So I've shared in here all about the credibility bank, and maybe another tip we'll talk about that again. But here's the deal. If I'm referring you and that referral goes south, I'm the one who has lost credibility with my client, my friend, my family, my colleagues, because the referral didn't go where it needed to go. You showed up less than what you were supposed to show up. So what happens is I need to get to know you so that I become comfortable to be able to make that recommendation, to be able to make that introduction, and to be able to open up those doors that can affect your bottom line. Isn't that worth reaching out and educating the others here at Inspired Nation, not only your who, but your how, and when will you invest into the relationships that you can have here, reach out to one another in this thing. Put it down in the post. I would love to do a strategy session, not just with the Inspired team, but we can start with that. I would love to set up some group strategy sessions so that we can begin to know some of the professionals that are here in our group, because I know that we have the opportunity in here to go from being an in search of group to being a group that we can actually make a difference to one another's bottom line. We can open up doors for one another. We can expand our referrals. We can make a difference. That is why I built this group. I built this group to take everything I had done over the last 20 some odd years of connecting professionals to one another, teaching them how to take their words and change them in order to become a business strategy to help them grow their business. So that is my tip today. It is all about your who and your how, and how important that is to your bottom line, way more important than what it is that you do. You see, here's the thing. The assumption is that what you do, you're good at it. What you do, you know, the product works. If that fails to be true, trust me, no one will ever want to refer you in the future. So we're going to assume everything is good on that. We're going to need to learn more about your who and your how. And that is what we're looking for here. We are wrapping up here at the end of your Tuesday tips at 10 o'clock with Amy D. And I just want to make sure as we're wrapping up, if you're jumping on and this is a replay, we definitely want to see hashtag replay. But I am more excited about exchanging the information that can help us grow our business. I want to see the comments on your who and your how. If this video, if you're like, this is what I want, and I want more professionals to think of this, I want you to hit the invite button. That is a great referral for us. I want you to hit the invite button and invite people into this group. I want you to tag your colleagues in the comments below and say, go watch this. I'm going to go put this out on YouTube. You can share this once it's out on our YouTube channel. You can go share this out on your public page. And I would love a referral if you said, go watch this. Go watch this. Because I truly believe that if we can get people who are excited about their business, then I think we can learn from 2019 and we can grow in 2020. So I'd love for you to invite people to our Inspired Nation group here so that we can inspire each other to reach our goals. Thank you guys for joining me for our tips on Tuesday at 10 o'clock. I'll see you guys again next Tuesday.